Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
From a Denny's parking lot and somewhere in Western New York. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator of the Bhakti Center in New York, Stuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to my road trip across America. It's Q&A day. I've hit the road earlier this morning, because too crazy early, cut my sleep out, sleep on the side of the road. I'm being a little bit more, what's the word? Paced. Mara said, you should get up, you should go jogging a little. You should do your pranayama. You should take a nice cold shower. So I had a nice start to the day, chanted about 10 rounds, and I got a little later start, but I'm feeling great about it.
What time did you get out the door?
I got out the door at 5.
Okay.
But I was up at 3.
There you go.
Yeah. So
She's helping
yeah.
you like that.
Oh, and did you see my new little promo video for my book?
Awesome.
My book is available on Amazon.
Well, that's a big deal, Raghunath. The book
It's a
is
huge big deal. Thank you very much. You know how long it took me to birth this book?
I don't like
9 months.
I don't like to think of you and birthing like in the same sense, but how
Get
long
that
did it
out
take
of
you
your
to
mind.
how long did it take you to write it?
Isn't it horrible when someone says something, you have to develop a mental picture? It was a home birth, Kostuba. It was a home birth. Just a few people were around.
It's a miscarriage. what happened? How long did it take?
It took me years to get my act together with this book. But
Okay,
anyway,
you did it.
I'm happy it's done. We dug up some great cool photos.
I'm looking forward to reading it.
It was so cathartic. And I tell you, it gave me faith in a spiritual practice, because when you reflect on life and all the challenges life has, you see how and you're a spiritual person and you're on a spiritual path, you start to realize that God prunes you for a richer growth the next season. I feel like I went through hell last year. I went through hell for since I think since the pandemic. I went through some type of hell, but it was that hell was like a pruning. And I feel like I'm in a blossoming stage right now, but it was not easy. And when you look back like that through your entire life and look at all the tough times you went through and heartbreaks, betrayals, everything falls apart. And you realize that there is a higher power who's been actually looking out. And sometimes sometimes those flowers can't grow unless there's tons of rain. And, sometimes you feel buried. Sometimes you bury the seeds. And that's how they grow. You bury the seeds, you water the seeds, and it seems horrible. I'm buried and I'm getting covered in water. And,
Okay.
and so anyway, when writing a book and going through your life, you realize, man, thank God for that.
Have you
needed that to get to here.
your life's arc?
Yeah. Yes. And so,
Where
and,
does it
and
end?
it's exciting. It's exciting me and inspiring me in my spiritual life. So
Well, that's great. And so it's available. People can pre-order it now.
yeah, maybe Mary could put it on the board and on the YouTube thing. It's not, you can just go to Amazon. Ray Raghunath Capo, Punk to Monk, it's called. From
Should
Punk
I
to Monk.
should I order it, or am I going to get a free one?
You got to order it,
Okay.
but I'll sign it for you.
Okay.
You got to order it just to be supportive, but I
All right,
will.
I'll order it to be supportive. Maybe
Yeah,
I'll order
and then
two.
I'll sign it for you.
I'll
And
order
everybody
two.
on Zoom has to order it too. I'm just gonna put that out there right now.
Everyone has to order two.
Yeah, you got to
Get one
order
for
two.
yourself, one for a
Give
friend.
one for a friend.
Yeah.
Give one for a friend. Yes, this is called shame sales techniques.
Okay.
I do so much
Shameless.
for you. I'm pulling over on the side of the road to do this podcast. The least you can do is go to Amazon right now and order it. Okay.
All right.
No, but yes.
All right. No, congratulations, Raghunath. That's a big thing.
Thanks, Prabhu. And if you see my Instagram reel, share it with somebody on Instagram or share it on your stories.
All right.
There will be an audiobook, Neil asks, and
Oh.
I will be reading it.
Cool.
Yes. But you still have to order the hardcover.
Can I do my do you have any, like, do I speak in it at all? Maybe I could do my voice.
A dramatic reading. Yes, you are actually in the book.
All right.
You are actually in
So whatever lines I said in the book, I can read.
Yeah, you can speak. Basically, the whole reading will be just me, and then the few lines you have, you can come in. And
Yeah.
Kostuba said. Kostuba laughed quietly. I'll
Clean up your room, Raghunath. Maharaj is coming.
I rewrote the Kostuba character. You've become me. You spill things. You tend to
Did you?
drool.
Okay.
You tend to drool and trip over your own feet, saying silly things. I correct you often, and I inspire you.
All right, let's get into the show, Raghunath.
Let's get
People
into
got
our
questions.
Q&A day. People have sent in good questions.
But there's Mara's got some announcements, probably, right?
Yeah, I do. Okay, so we have a shloka group going on at 10 a.m. today.
Exciting.
Yep, and Bhakti recovery group meetings today at 9:30 a.m. and 12:30. Also, we should mention there's no show tomorrow.
Man.
But there is Urban Davy tomorrow at 11 a.m. through the Bhakti Center.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at least the ladies have something to do.
Exactly. And all next week, we're going to do the show at 8 a.m. Eastern time because Raga will be on West Coast time.
Okay. Oh, Eileen Shovelin's liking that.
Woohoo! All the Californians going to be liking that.
Yeah.
All right. And you don't know how long you're going to be out there, so.
I don't know. I don't know. Isn't that amazing?
I'm a little worried you're going to come back different.
I think I am different.
No, but
I'm a different man.
No. I mean the California thing. Like you're gonna get into that California mood, you know. Got a suntan, got glasses. You're walking around like talking like that L.A. kind of like agent kind of mood, you know. Saying baby all the time and talking.
Listen, Kostuba, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Kostuba, baby. Just
what I like about Californian language is they speak their statements in questions. So I went to the store and I picked up a bunch of organic groceries. It's almost like it's a question.
Life is a big
people
question.
ordering the books online. Thank you.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
All right.
Let's
Ready,
get
Robert?
into this. What kind of questions we have, Mr.
So the first question we have today is from Farmer Jerry from Texas.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to read all the questions today.
Yeah, I'll read them today. You're in your car. Okay, so this is from Farmer Jerry. He said, and this is a real fundamental question, important one to get into. He says, I need a little clarification. In the Gita, right, the Bhagavad Gita, it makes a mention of the personal versus the impersonal views of God. Does one have to fit into either or? I feel that in reality it's both. But it seems like the Gita and Prabhupada are saying it's either or. Maybe I'm mistaken. But for me, it seems like there are times I feel close to both. And the separation between the two is just a limitation because of our limited perception. Thanks again for all y'all do. Farmer Jerry. Want to start, Roga?
Yeah. I think like suppose Kostuba writes a book and which he's writing actually right now.
Yeah.
And we love Kostuba as a person, as a friend. But sometimes Kostuba manifests in a delicious meal he cooks for me when I go to his house. He always makes me something delicious.
Oh,
Sometimes he manifests in a book that he writes, and sometimes he manifests in another extension from him, whatever it may be, the way he decorates his apartment or the way he takes care of his deities. They're both, in one sense, they're all connected with Kostuba, but they're parts of his energy, parts of his thoughts, but there is a Kostuba behind them all. I don't see a differentiate. I see and I don't see a differentiation between God's creation and God. But if I want to fall in love with the being, that's when you need the personal deity. When you want to fall in love with the Krishna, I'm not gonna pray to the tree. Oh, oh Queen Anne Palm, please, fulfill my desires. Or, oh, weeping European beech tree, please, help my children. No, I see them as beautiful extensions of God's creation. But I'll have an intimate relationship where I cry to Krishna, or I pray to Krishna, or I appreciate Krishna also. That doesn't mean I can't appreciate the energy of Krishna as well. Of course, matter of fact, when I see plants and when I see animals, even when I see, like, you see I follow tornadoes on various tornadoes on Instagram.
is that what you're actually doing driving across the country right now?
I'm tornado hunting, storm hunting. What do you call
People
that?
do that, right?
I know.
Do you have like a little one of those things on the roof of your car that like goes around?
There is
different equipment?
a tropical storm in Southern California. Mara's been warning me
know.
about.
I know.
I'm not going there for that. Sherry Yannick says that's why he's going.
That's what he's going.
It's not why I'm going, but I'm just saying. Anyway, there is beauty when you see the sacred geometry of a tornado, or a cyclone, or there's some beauty to it too.
Fibonacci beauty.
So yeah, we recognize the beauty of God's energy, and we recognize the beauty of God.
Okay.
In Bhakti, we're really trying to relate to God as a personal being, so we can fall in love. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I like your answer. It's such an important question. If you read the book, "The Journey Home" by Radhanath Swami,
Mm-hmm.
it's such a fascinating book and such a fun read. But it was it was his memoir of how, as a young man, I think he was 20 or 21 at the time. He kind of hitchhikes through Europe and then all the way to the border of India and Pakistan, right? He goes through Turkey, and from Europe he goes through Turkey, he goes through
Afghanistan,
Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, through the Khyber Pass.
That's tough.
Right?
The Khyber Pass is tough.
Yeah. And then he ends up he has near-death experiences along the way, and then he ends up at the border of India. He has some trouble getting in, and finally he gets in. And then there he is, just imagine. It really, there's no question in his previous life he was wandering through India. I mean, I can't. It just doesn't seem to make sense that he wasn't. So there he is. As a brand new, never been to India, knew hardly anything about it, and just like he just wants to go to the Himalayas and meet the yogis up there. And he's wandering around, and the book follows him for a couple of years as he goes throughout India, and it kind of becomes like a Forrest Gump of Indian spirituality. He's meeting all these famous spiritual leaders, as well as more private or unknown ones. But there's two fundamental, like he's appreciating people from all different all different presentations that they're making, but at a certain point it occurs to him that I'm hearing two different ideas here. Right? Some of these people seem to be telling me that that God is not a person, but that God is just like a divine light, and that we are all made of that same light ultimately, that the forms of this world are all illusion, that when we become free of that illusion, we merge into that divine light and we just experience eternal bliss. But others are saying that God is a person, that God is someone that you know and you love like a person, and when you're liberated from your illusion, you realize that all of the relationships that I'm experiencing in this world are just kind of like a warped reflection
Hmm.
of the spiritual relationships that exist, and ultimately that God is the center of all that. And so, it was he was trying to get an answer to kind of get like some closure on this. That's kind of what the book, that becomes the essential question in the book, and that he's searching for an answer for. And really the conclusion of the book is where he's in Vrindavan and he meets Srila Prabhupada. And more or less he places his question for him. Some people are saying God is an energy. Some people are saying God is a person. And then Prabhupada quoted a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Because again, when we talk about Srimad Bhagavatam, just think, when you think of Bhagavatam, in your mind, picture a big key, right? And it's like, this is the key that just like opens up the door that kind of answers all the questions. It solves it all, right? And it was the book that the author of all of the Vedic literature wrote when he saw that people were not understanding his message. They were having trouble understanding what the essence is. So it's like, now I'm going to make it abundantly clear. And so in the beginning of that book, it has the sages of Naimisharanya, and they're inquiring from Sutta Goswami, what delivers the greatest good for all mankind, right? And what delivers Atma Supersidity, the complete satisfaction to the soul? Is it knowing God is an impersonal energy? Is that what it is, right? Is it cultivating good karma in this world to enjoy the good things of this world? What is it? And he says that it's bhakti, right? It's actually divine love. It's that connection with the absolute truth. And then he makes this point. He says, kamasya nendriya pratir, right? That kamasya nendriya, that life is not meant for gratifying the senses. That's not what it's for, he says. A lot of people think that that's what life is all about, right? Even through the Vedic rituals and stuff. No, that's not what life is for. Well, then what is it meant for? He says, tattva jignasa. It's meant for inquiry into the absolute truth, right? What's behind it all, right? Where did it all come from? What's behind it all? What's the purpose of it all? And then the logical question would be, well, what is that absolute truth, right? What does it look like? Is it a person? Is it an energy, right? What is it? When you get to the source of everything, what is it? And then he says this very famous verse, and this is the verse that Srila Prabhupada quoted to Radhanath Swami when they were in Vrindavan. Vedanti tat tattva vidas, right? That those who know the absolute truth, the tattva vidas, those that get it, tattva yajganam advayam, and this goes right to Farmer Jerry's thing. It says tattvam yajganam advayam. It says they say that this is non-dual, right? He's saying, I think isn't it 2 and 1? Aren't they kind of, well, yes, it's non-dual. It's like, but in 3 features. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, and Bhagavaniti Shabdite. It's called Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. All of these 3 are the absolute truth, right? So that means Brahman, which is like the non-personal energy of God. Paramatma, the feature of God within the heart of every living being. And Bhagavan, the supreme person. But the manifestation of God that you can know and love as an individual person, like shake hands with, say hello, love in any variety of personal ways. And then the Bhagavatam will go into a lot of depth, and it will dedicate its entire 10th canto, which is like 1/4 of the whole thing. It's massive, to understanding Bhagavan, right? It's going to say that Bhagavan's special because it all stems from Bhagavan. Right? Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, Brahmano hi pratishtaham, I'm the basis of the impersonal Brahman. So if you know the sun, you know just not just the globe of the sun, but you also know the sun's rays, the sunshine, right? And if you really know the sun, you know that there's the sun God as well, right? So if you really know the sun, you know all 3, right? But you know that ultimately it's coming from a person behind it. Then you really know it. And so for Farmer Jerry, he's saying, like, I feel a connection to both. The feeling that you'll feel from Brahman is by those that know, that have come to know Bhagavan, the personal feature. When you know that personal feature, you can put all three in perspective. Let's put it that way, right? Then you can understand that, oh, yeah, well, that impersonal feature is this divine light. And when you connect with that, you feel your eternity, all right? So all the anxiety disappears, all of the fear disappears. And that feels like bliss. So for Farmer to Jerry to say like, well, I find that kind of appealing. And no, we get that, when we're suffering in this world, that does sound very appealing. But
Right.
but what the knowers of Bhagavan understand is that there's something still way beyond that, and that ultimately is divine love, and love is between people, right? One person and another. And so when you know that Bhagavan, when you know that feature of God, then you know God completely. And you find the deepest and completest satisfaction of the self.
Beautiful.
All right, Bama.
Beautiful.
Hope that helps.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for question number 2?
Ready.
Okay, question number 2 is really questions number 2, 3, and 4, because this is from Dennis van Limburg from the Netherlands.
Dennis van Limburg.
Dennis van Limburg from the
That's
Netherlands.
a good name. Where's he from?
Yeah, from the Netherlands.
From the Netherlands. Okay.
The Netherlands. Even that is a good name. The Netherlands.
Yes,
like someone
the
said, I came from the Netherlands. It's like, whoa. Okay.
I came from the nether regions.
Yeah, from the nether regions. Dear Raghunath, dear Kastuba, dear Mara, I'm an other from the Netherlands. I'm trying to catch up on all the episodes. I'm currently, this was on Monday. He was at episode 1112. What are we on? I think this is 1123 today. Is that right, Mara?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's right.
I'm always impressed by people playing catch up. That's hours of investment. Time they're investing in the Bhagavatam.
Yeah. So he's close. He's at 1112, and that was on Monday. So he's saying, so if you sometimes skip days, we're going to skip a day tomorrow. That's a chance to come up one notch.
Yeah.
Then he says, and if I keep pace, then I hope to see you soon on Zoom. So I guess he's waiting to come on Zoom until he catches up.
Exciting. All right. Waiting to meet you, Mr. van Limburg.
Mr. van Limburg. So he says he has 3 questions. He says, thank you so much for the podcast and all the other things that you do. For me, this podcast is truly a torch of knowledge that eliminates the darkness of ignorance. That's what Bhagavatam does. Okay. Question number 1. Bhagavad Gita 7:23 states, my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. And then so Dennis asks, okay, and then what happens? What then? If I understand correctly, we, the Atma, remain separate from Krishna. So are we, as separate souls, partaking in Krishna's loving adventures eternally? And would that mean that if we wait long enough, that all souls eventually end up in Goloka Vrindavan with Krishna? The soul is eternal, so I assume there's a fixed amount of parts and parcels. Or will the soul, while in Goloka Vrindavan, eventually want to go back into illusion, back to Maya, back to wanting to enjoy as if we are Krishna? This would then be similar to going to the higher planets based on good karma, but we fall back when the good karma runs dry. What about that, Raghunath?
So the first part of the question was, quoting the Bhagavad Gita, that after we die, we go to a place where we never return, and then what? I know I used to always ask that question growing up in church. It's like, well, what do you do in heaven? Because, and my parents never had a good answer for that. It was always like, you get whatever you want. It was like it was almost like one of those shopping sprees where you get, okay, we're gonna shut the store. It's you get a shopping wagon and just fill the cart with whatever you want to get. It's almost like sense gratification, but what it is it's if you the only way to understand things of the spiritual realm to see how they can manifest in the material realm. But in the material realm, there's always some shadow, so you're not seeing the real thing. But if you've ever felt like you're falling in love, or a loving relationship, or a romantic relationship, or a best friend, or some type of sweetness that can go. You can imagine a picnic, or when if it was a friendly relationship with your, or a parental relationship where you have a little baby and you felt that love. So you can imagine divine forms and nuanced love. That's as much clue as I can give you, because I don't remember having that relationship with Krishna, but I can imagine pure forms of the sweetest things here. And because in Krishna Bhakti they give this description, you cannot just, it's not just like you're this peon worshiping God, but you can have Krishna as your friend, you can have Krishna as your lover, you can have Krishna as your child, etc. So there's nuanced types of love, and the love is considered ever expanding and ever joyful and ever blissful. And that's and it doesn't get boring. Whereas I think maybe, suppose you go on a picnic with someone you love, it's sort of like, okay, now what? Now what are we doing here? Where are we going to take this picnic?
You didn't enjoy our time up in wherever
Rhode
you were,
Island.
New Hampshire.
I thought you liked the
whatever.
time.
We
It was
went
riddled
canoeing
with
that time.
Mara, it was riddled with temporality. I love you. You're a wonderful person. But yes. So anyway, that's my answer. And as far as the soul coming back, philosophers, devotional philosophers speculate on these things. I'm in no position to do it. But yeah, Krishna is the transcendental vacuum sucking us up, sucking up the devotees back to the spiritual realm. Once you get a little hook, once you call out the Lord's name, once you say anything with some intention, once you get frustrated with material energy, once you meet a devotee, the hook has been set. And then Krishna starts his reclaiming process to wake us up and to remember that, what Kaustubha was saying, the goal of the life, you have thousands of different goals people have. What's the goal of life? Well, is to raise a family, is to love your neighbors, to have many girlfriends as possible, is to collect a certain amount of things, it's to die with the most toys. No, it's to inquire about the absolute truth and then act on that. So the reclaiming process is gone. All of you guys listening on Zoom right now, your material life's over. I hate to break it to you. It's over. It's only a matter of time on how fast Krishna is going to reel you in and how much you are going to run towards Krishna. You can take as long as you want. You could, it's like there's a rubber band, a giant rubber band set on your hips, and you can run away as much as you want, but you're just going to snap right back eventually. Krishna's chose to reclaim you all. So that's just the way it is. I've experienced it. I've tried to run, but that rubber band's got me.
The harder you run, the more you're just going to snap back.
Yeah. And then you go running towards Krishna. I've had enough of this.
Hell. Yeah, regarding whether one returns to the material realm from the spiritual realm, that was part of the question, right?
Yeah.
And, there's many references. I mean, in the Bhagavad Gita, immediately two come to mind. And one of them is what we've been reading all month, right? We just finished the Purushottam month, where for a month we read the 15th chapter every day.
Yep.
Some of us took that, did that vow. So there, it opens up with the description that this material world is like this big banyan tree. We're going from branch to branch trying to taste the fruits, but we're getting entangled and we're all caught up in it. We're lost in that big, massive tree. Don't know how to get out. And then it says and this is in text 3 and 4 of the 15th chapter Bhagavad Gita, that the real form of this tree, in other words, the spiritual realm, which this tree is of this material world, is just a reflection of. The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation it is. But with determination, one must cut down the strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Okay, so this is the yoga, right? That whatever path it is that one's following, that it creates a detachment through it, that we develop a detachment from this world, right? We let go. Yeah. We let go. And then what happens when you let go? What is Krishna saying you should do when you let go? What is Bhagavad Gita saying? He says, thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns. Right? Yasmin gata na nirvartantanti bhuya. That place, once you go there, you don't come back. Right?
Well, someone will ask the question then, How'd you get here then?
Well, that's another question. The question that's being addressed here is once you're here and you go back,
Right.
that you don't go back. That's what Bhagavad Gita
Okay.
says. And but there's of course there's another famous verse from Bhagavad Gita 18:6 Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Arvartino Juna Mamu Pechatu Kaunteya Punar Janma Navidyate. Right? Punar Janma Navidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains my abode, O son of Kunti, they never take their birth again. Right? You enter into eternity. And so part of the question that Dennis was asking here, it's dealing with eternity, and it's things that are hard to wrap our head around. But it's something that we have to try to expand our brain to understand, right? So in any case, what regarding do we return, like if you go to the higher planets and you return to Earth, it's going to Goloka, Vrindavan, like that? According to Krishna, no, it's not like that. You go there, you don't come back. Okay, that's the one part. And then I like the way that you dealt with this other part. What do you do when you're there? And that's the esoteric side of bhakti, right? That's like but I liked where you kind of took it, Raghunatha, is that whatever we're doing here is a reflection of what we're doing there, but it's all twisted here, right? Remember that song, Raghunath? It's all twisted.
It's all twisted. Yeah,
it's all twisted here. Everything's twisted. It's warped here, but there, everything is operating on this principle of divine selfless love. Here, everything's mixed with a type of selfishness. So there's always conflict. Right? There's always struggle. There's always competition, and then we end up at odds with one another, causing harm to one another, which brings reactions to us. So we suffer for all the suffering that we cause, and it just turns into a big mess. It's not properly centered, right? But the idea is in that spiritual, everything is nicely centered around that. Everyone shares this love for Krishna, and through that, a love for one another. And it's very harmonious. Right?
We get a glimpse.
Yeah.
But it's a shadow glimpse.
Yeah. And so the idea is there that, there is all varieties of love, that Krishna is just his only concern is to experience love, to share love, to have adventures of love. And he enjoys it in many varieties. Right. And so, we have the opportunity, the eternal kind of birthright, to enter into that play, right? Enter into those relations, enter into that, into the sharing of that love in a particular way that will be fully satisfying. So that's what goes on there. But if you want details of it, you can read the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. You could, or as Prabhupada summarized it, the Krishna book. And then there's books that are still more esoteric than that go into even finer detail that come along,
Because you know what I realized this morning driving?
What's that?
By the way, I love, people are like, wow, you're driving across America. You're really, I
Roughing
love it. I love it.
Maybe you should have been a truck driver.
You know what? I should have been a vegan trucker.
You know what?
I should have been a vegan trucker.
Is vegan trucker over there with Mara right now?
He's over there with Mara, taking my place, trying to replace me.
Nice.
But I just love being alone and thinking about stuff, or getting on the phone with people I haven't talked to and catching up. Stuff like that. But here's what I was thinking this morning. I was like, first of all, I was doing my whole morning program in my head. I was singing the songs.
Singing songs, yeah.
And I was reflecting how all these things, I would go, when we were monks, young monks, I'd go to the temple, and it was all so foreign and Indian and sort of otherworldly, and there were cultural differences, there were clothing differences, the songs were in a different language, and I liked it and I appreciated it, but it was foreign. This morning when I was singing these songs, I was thinking, this is such a beautiful sonic thank you to our teachers. We're thinking Samsara Davana Lila Loka, Guru Vastakam, and it's like a sonic thank you to all the teachers who have touched our life. Then I'm singing Lord Nishringa Day prayers. It's like a call out to God as the protector, and then we're singing Tulsi prayers, and oh my God, there's an appreciation for Tulsi, like these things that just couldn't have been there, but are now like 35 years in. It makes so much more sense. It comes much more into focus. It becomes more alive. And if you're struggling, if you're new to this and it seems, damn, this is so damn foreign, it makes more sense over the years. It becomes more and more real. It'll seem less like you're reading some foreign cultural manual, and it will be part of who you actually are. And it will be it will be very relevant. Right now, some of us are trying to fit in our square life into our big block into a tiny round hole, and it seems too far, and it seems like it can't fit. It seems like I can appreciate Krishna consciousness, bhakti, but my life can't fit into it. Guess what? It can fit, and you will lose taste for a lot of the big clunkiness of your life that won't fit in a spiritual realm, but you'll retain everything that you need for your spiritual life. It doesn't mean you have to abandon him, her, your place, your residence, even your career. But sometimes you get to a place where like, this doesn't work anymore for what I want to become. But I will say it's for you. Just keep going forward if you're new to this.
Okay.
That's my encouraging words of the day.
Thank you, Raghunath.
Thank you.
Let's take another question from Dennis von Lindborg. He had 3.
That's right. He's got a bunch of questions.
So this one has to do with asana.
Okay.
Says the last he has, this is the third one of the 3. We might go back and take number 2 as well, but let's see. It says the last question is about yoga asana. If my interpretation is correct, it was mentioned on the podcast that yoga asana is a great tool to quiet the mind. And then he gave this quote: "The asana is complete when the mind is quiet." Actually, the precisely what I quoted was the asana is correct. It was mentioned that Patabi Joyce was asked this question: how do we know when we're doing the asana correctly? And he said the asana is correct when the mind is quiet. Okay.
Yep.
So a quiet mind is needed to focus the mind on spiritual matters. But when I go to yoga class, there are all these instructions on physical alignment, protraction of the shoulder,
so funny.
posterior pelvic tilt, externally rotate this, engage that. It seems that the mind gets occupied with these physical cues. Does this awareness on physical alignment ultimately lead to a quiet mind? And what is the difference between yoga asana and other sports or movements that create physical awareness, such as running, CrossFit, dance, etc.? Should yoga asana just be seen as a sattvic way to keep the body healthy, and a healthy body is needed for service? Or is there more to it? In episode 1065, Kastuba said, yoga is always about taking something external and using it to develop the internal consciousness. How does that relate to the emphasis on physical alignment / awareness in yoga asana?
Great. What a great question.
Mm-hmm.
What a great question. And especially if you're new to yoga asanas and they start talking about, lower your shoulders, draw your ears back. If you have gone to an Iyengar class, yoga, Kastuba?
No.
Amazing. You'll get like instructions on what to do with your ears, your face, your lip. Like, I didn't even know I could control my lip or my ears. You want me to drop my ears? But sometimes, anyway, Lori was great the other day because I took Lori's yoga class, Lori Pag, and she was saying, okay, this is much more than about your gymnastics today. This is about controlling your mind, and it's about settling the mind and letting the vrittis, the stuff of the mind, settle. And I know she gets that from Dharma Mitra also, who always talks about like, this is just gymnastics. Now, of course, yoga asanas are much more than gymnastics, and there is some benefit of how to align your body and how to strengthen certain muscles and relax other parts of your body. But yeah, it's sattvic exercise in one sense, and when the body comes to a state of sattva and and health and healing, then the inner organs work better. The digestion gets stronger, the circulation, right? All the systems of the body start working better. Then that starts to help the mind as well. And they're all interconnected. And so, yeah, that's what the yogas do. They're sort of like a stepping stones towards having a peaceful sattvic mind. Then they're useful. And, truthfully, I'm not crazy about overly instructing poses, and it definitely shouldn't stop there. And this is the problem with a secular yoga system. It teaches you every little detail about how to hug your shoulders and your thighs and your buttocks and your it's almost like saying, okay, I'm going to drive to California today, and you just give me thousands of hours, and I'm asking you for directions, and you give me thousands of hours of how to put the keys in the ignition. I was like, dude, just I'll turn the car on. Tell me how to get to California. So this is what they do in yoga. They give so much instructions about the poses, but never tell you where to go with these poses. That's the problem with the yoga system in America today. We've cut out the goal and just made it about putting the keys in the ignition. So I think it is important. And I will say that, I've done lots of Iyengar classes where you hear these instructions. And at first, it's really annoying because you never notice these things about your musculature and your rotation and inner rotation and outer rotation. But after a while, you're not even listening because you already know what to do with your body. So it doesn't bother the mind that much. So don't sweat that. So there is a use to it, but understand that it's not the goal. Putting the keys in the ignition is not getting to California. That is how you start the car. The directions will be given by Sri Guru and the Vedic parampara and the lineage, etc. Thank you.
All right.
How was that?
That was nice. I was thinking that, like, we never hear of or see depicted yoga classes in ancient India the way that it's done today, commonly, right? Like,
yes,
you don't see a sage sitting in front of like a 20 other sages that are facing him, and the one sage is calling out instructions, and everybody's, but that's not, it was, we can assume it was taught more one-on-one, and you would give instructions and then you would practice it on your own, right? When I was practicing asana, which I did pretty seriously for about a little over 10 years. I liked Ashtanga yoga that I studied under Eddie Stern. And one of the reasons why I really liked it was because that's how it was taught, right? You'd have 20, 25, 30 people in a room at one time. But the idea is that when you walk in the first day, you meet the teacher. They kind of analyze who you are and where you're at. They give you the first few asanas in a sequence that you'll gradually build. And then you come in and you practice those on your own, right? So everybody in the room is silently practicing on their own, rather than one teacher giving instructions to everyone what to do. Now, I don't want to be too critical of that, because I know teachers like you, Raghunath, or Lori, or others, you find a way to use that format in a way that people really benefit from. And so that's a great thing. But for myself, I never wanted to practice like that, where someone's, doing different things every day. No, I just wanted to learn this thing. I wanted to learn it right. And I just wanted to practice it on my own every day. So I can, if Dennis is saying, how am I going to focus my mind and keep it peaceful and everything when I'm constantly hearing all these instructions? I'm with you. So you take what you learn and then you go practice it silently on your own, But in the Yoga Sutras, when it begins to speak about asana, it lists all the different angas of Ashtanga Yoga, right? The 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, and for each one, when you master it, there's a certain boon that one receives, right? Like a certain benediction that comes from it, and so it's said that through mastering of asana, it says tato dvandva anabhigata, that from this, right, from mastering the asana, one is not afflicted by the opposites, right? The hot and cold, honor, dishonor, all that, right? Like that by this practice of asana, the mind will settle in such a way where mentally and even bodily, that you're not, you really, the way that these Ashtanga yogis are, the reason behind it was, as you're saying, it gets all the different systems in the body flowing smoothly: digestive, endocrine, skeletal, the respiratory system, all the different systems flowing smooth. And when they're all flowing smooth, the mind becomes very clear and lucid and settled. All right. And so that is preparing you. This is a preliminary step to go into deep meditation, deepest focus, where you've entirely forgotten about your body, right? You don't, and when you get to those deeper states of awareness, you become totally unaware of your own body. And asana is meant to get you there. but there's so many ways that our body could bring our attention back if it's not flowing perfectly smoothly and your mind's not super clearly lucid like that. So, that's what asana is for. It's not really technically part of the bhakti yoga practice, although bhakti yogis can apply it in their lives. And Dennis was asking, is it really just like kind of a sattvic way of remaining healthy? Well, you can apply it that way. It can be used, asana can be used as therapy, right? Very targeted therapy to as a remedy to any particular physical malady. It can even be used as a remedy to mental maladies, right? It can be for mental health care.
Sure.
It can be a way of just let's say a proactive way of maintaining health rather than having to respond to disease. That I maintain a healthy balance through practicing asana. How is it different than running or CrossFit or dance? Well, it's very targeted. Just on one level, it's very targeted. What it can do, like you were mentioning the organs, right, Raghunath? Like, and so the organs, the idea is that when you send a rush of fresh blood into them, that it refreshes and revives the organs, right? So, and to do that, there's different it's like if you just run, it's going to address your respiratory system. It's going to address your muscular system. It'll, your skeletal system. In some ways, it may be doing harm as well. But the idea with asana is quite gentle and very targeted. It's going those places where very consciously going to those places where other forms of exercise may not go. Like, are you going to take your internal organs and squeeze them and give them a refreshing flow of blood? If you're running, probably not. But if you do Maricha Asana, you are, right? And you do it a little bit every day. And in this way, your entire, and like we've talked about this in the past, right? When you meet these real yogis, there's a glow, glow in their eye, glow in their skin, the clear minds, simple minds. They're eating pure, simple foods. They're not eating too much. They're digesting it well. They're breathing fresh air, and they're doing pranayama. They're doing asana, and they're really clear. It's great for the nervous system. It's great for all the systems. And what I would recommend is that if you really want to go deeper into that, there's a book written by Eddie Stern called One Simple Thing. And that's really the theme of the book, where he's taking yoga practice and tying in research, like modern medical research, to help understand how asana and how pranayama, how they affect the nervous system, how they play with the different systems of the body. So research has been done into that. It's something that is very effective. It's something that it works on in subtle ways that other exercise may not go to. And it's something that yogis, they're so brilliant, right? These yogis, that they understood it. They saw the value of it. They experimented with it. And they took their notes on it, and they shared it with us so that we could benefit from it.
We only believe it if the scientific community can prove it.
Okay.
Kostuba, I don't know what Zoom does, but they have this touch up. The default is like touch up your appearance.
Yeah.
And so I had us on, I put it on speaker view because
Yeah.
Mara always says you have to have that on speaker view on Saturday for Facebook. But you look like it's Chandan Yatra and you're covered in sandalwood face today.
Really?
I think your normal untouched up face is quite lovely.
I'm
But
not
I don't,
meaning to touch it up.
I
Let me
don't,
see if it's.
I don't think you've touched it up. I think it just does that
Oh
because
no,
I
it
was
is touched up. It's touched up.
I
There
was
you go.
touched
Now it's
up.
untouched
I
up.
look
How's that?
better.
Different?
Better. Is
Okay.
it still touched up
No, it's not touched up now.
at all? Okay. See, I'm looking real untouched up. I looked real sandalwood pasty too.
All right.
And we have a special festival called Chandan Yatra where they take the deity and they cover it in like a tan paste of sandalwood. They take up cover the whole body.
It may be because light is because we're doing it late in the
maybe.
day, and I'm facing the window, and light may be coming in from the window and doing that to my face.
Okay, let's go continue on.
I think we're done, Raghunath. We're done for the day.
Oh wow, it's 8:57.
Time to get
All
back
right,
on the
my
road, man. You got a
iWatch-
lot of miles to
My
cover.
iWatch said I have to stand anyway, so this is important. This is good. It's time to stand. So
All right.
what I've tried to do during the show is lay down on a chair to try to extend my legs. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we will keep you posted about my journeys and where I am. And I want to thank everybody who ordered the book. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Go to Amazon.com, even though some people don't like to go to Amazon. Just order the book for me. Do me a favor, please.
Is that
Order
the
the
only
book on
place it's available right
Amazon.com.
now?
Punk to Monk by Ray Raghunath Capo. It makes a big difference to me. And it makes a big difference. I want to try to get it to
It makes a big difference.
bestseller status. And it takes a group of people pre-ordering it like that. And you can do it. We got a big groundswell of people. So thank you very much. Buy one for a friend. Buy one for a friend. Buy one for Kostuba. Somebody buy one for Kostuba.
All right.
Yeah. And we have a show tomorrow?
No,
No.
no show tomorrow.
No show tomorrow. And then
You just
8
keep
o'clock
driving,
on Monday.
Bubba. Raghunath, you're gonna be out there in Montana, just like driving.
Driving. Maybe I should pull over to do a Sweet Baby Krishna, Mara.
Oh.
I don't know.
Sure, Prabhu.
All right.
You can do it as you drive.
How can we
Sweet Baby Krishna.
announce a Sweet Baby Krishna?
The same way we always announce it, through Patreon and on Discord.
Okay, I'll decide sometime during the day. I might need a break. Do a Sweet Baby Krishna.
You know, people don't know it yet, but we're going to be on this new platform soon. We're going to launch it sometime in the next couple months, I think, right?
we're gonna launch a platform.
And it's going to
Yeah.
be like way beyond Discord and it's like all in one place, and there's all kind of ways to connect. I don't even know what it's called, but it's supposed to be really cool.
I'm gonna get touched up. I'm gonna touch up.
Do I
this
look
face.
like that still?
A little bit?
It
little
must
bit.
be from the window light, I think.
Jim Wood says, "Is it Bonnie?" No, it's not Bonnie, but we'll be working with Bonnie on as well.
Yeah, it's not like that. It's I don't even know what you call these things. These kind of like what do
We
you call
don't
them?
know.
It'll
I don't
all
even know
be
what to
like
call
a
them.
centralized platform. So it'll be like
centralized
our
platform.
website, yeah, but it'll
Everything
be like
in one
a
place.
community there, you know, access to the like YouTube shows, Spotify
It's like-
platforms.
It's like our own Facebook, and we're
yeah,
all
it'll all be
friends.
like embedded.
Everything's embedded.
It's embedded. I don't even know what that means. Embedded. Okay, I have to go. I love you all. You're beautiful. Thank you, everybody, for being part of this. Tell your friends to order a book. Hey, share my reel on your stories. Everybody can do that. Share.
Right,
That's our message today.
He's not announcing
Share.
the different retreats anymore. He's got like a whole other thing now.
It's a whole new thing. Share my book. Thank you very much, everyone. It's a beautiful day for a beautiful day. It's a magical world out there. Catch the magic.